Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I rise to wrap up what has been a very extensive debate around the most important piece of economic reform that the Territory has seen in a decade. And we couldn't be prouder as a government, just 6 months into government, to have reached this point where not only have we drafted, consulted, prepared amendments, worked through this bill so comprehensively, but that we're able to then put it to the Parliament this evening. And it truly has been a project that has extended itself to every opportunity, every Territorian, every industry group, everyone who's interested, everyone who's concerned has had an opportunity to be a part of this. It's something I've been working on for a very, very long time. We took the Territory Coordinator, of course, to the 2020 election, albeit it has changed a lot since then, and definitely for the better. But it is no surprise to any Territorian that we have proceeded in this direction. It is a very important time for the Territory as we face this crossroads. We've had economic decline, we've had population issues, we've had a lack of delivery on projects, and what we also had at exactly the same time is a government telling us that there was major project after major project after major project in the pipeline. And I think the word major project has serious linkages to the Labor government in that it is just such a hallmark of failure on their part. Promise after promise, never reaching potential. And the Territory went from a can-do territory, a place where the fire was lit in people's bellies, to achieve. You would come here for an opportunity. You would stay for the lifestyle. You would have your family here and bed down for the long haul, and you would become a passionate, lifelong Territorian because you knew that your kids would have just as much, if not more, opportunity than you had. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want, Madam Speaker? To lay a life and a foundation for our children to have better opportunities, better access to services, better lifestyle than what we had. And that's pretty hard. I'm a born and bred Territory kid. I had a fantastic lifestyle growing up, Madam Speaker. We were fishing and hunting and not wearing shoes and running around, running amok, just absolute Territory kid to the core. And I want that for my children too, Madam Speaker. And I want them to know that they can go to school here and achieve great things at school. I want them to know that they can stay and whatever it is that they aspire to be, or they can go and they can come back, and they can know that there is a path forward for them in whatever they choose. And I think the member for Drysdale said that as well. It's about having a future where kids have more than one opportunity, more than one thing that they have to pursue, where the world is open to them, and where you as a parent and as a community deliver them to the point where they have that chance to make up their own mind and forge their own future. And so the Territory Coordinator is an important part of that. It's a piece of that. It's not the only piece, but it is an important piece. And it signals off the back of so much failure, the need to do things differently. And the member for Fanny Bay said it very well. She said, if you're opposing this, what you're saying is you're accepting the status quo. And we are not accepting the status quo. That is exactly what we are not going to do. It's what we were elected to, in fact, defeat. It was to challenge what has been done time and time again and bring forward a different approach and try something new, try something different. Because if we continue to do the same thing over and over again, as I think the member for Brennan said, the Attorney General said, we'll get the same outcome. And we do not want anything from the last 8 years to be the same outcome going forward. So we have to try new things, and I get it. Change for some people is hard. Fear of the unknown can be hard. But this has been a well-worked through piece of work that has been consulted up and down the Territory. Not only did we do consultation with various groups, which included land councils and other organisations. We then went out to public consultation for months and months and months, not just over Christmas, as those opposite would have you believe. It was from Alice Springs to Nhulunbuy and everywhere in between. And people had the opportunity to write submissions. Then we had the scrutiny committee process, and I thank the scrutiny committee. It's a very exciting time. Not only is this a major piece of economic reform, a major part of our platform, but it was the first time the legislative scrutiny committee came into operation, and so I thank them all very much for their hard work. Obviously, we are accepting some of the recommendations, and the Deputy Chief Minister highlighted that today. We accepted 8 in full, which was 7, 9, 11, 18, 19, 22, 23 and 25. 2 recommendations in part, which was 6 and 10. And we didn't accept 15 of the recommendations, which was 1 to 5, 8, 12 to 17, 20, 21 and 24. So, Madam Speaker, I thank all the members for speaking to this bill, and I, have heard loud and clear that many will be opposing it. Many have made proposed some amendments, and we will work through that diligently over however long it takes to support the process that will inevitably come. But make no mistake, with an $11 billion debt, with the economic failure we have, with the Territory having the worst performing economy in the nation, we have to do something different. And this morning, Madam Speaker, I launched our Rebuilding the Economy Economic Strategy 2025 to 28. And the Territory Coordinator, again, is a critical part of that. We know the Territory can be better. And whilst there was a lot of doom and gloom today, you would think we were actually talking about something different to what we are, Madam Speaker, such as the imagination getting away from those opposite. But at the end of the day, I thank those who've contributed, and when we must be getting that balance right. Now, the opposition leader of all people should know that this is off the back of economic failure. She was a senior minister in that previous government, the same minister in the same previous government that abolished legislative scrutiny committees in the first place, and then she's complained about it, even though we are the government that brought it back and she is from the government that scrapped it. We heard from the member for Mulga, who was concerned about consultation in the bush. And we certainly thank him for his contribution. Our consultation with land councils certainly happened very early on in those very initial stages. I know the Acting Territory Coordinator went out into Nhulunbuy and other areas, and certainly there has been much public debate around these issues. We've been very clear about the legislation that is in the schedule is the only legislation that the Territory Coordinator has any power over, and it's very clear what legislation is not part of that, which of course includes sacred sites, native title. All of those pieces of legislation are not in the schedule, which means they cannot attract the powers of the Territory Coordinator. The member for Gwadja, again, talked about the scrutiny committee process, and I think, fundamentally showed a misunderstanding of what this legislation does. The member for Nightcliff tended to use rather inflammatory language, if I could put it that way, but this is, and she talked about the need to balance lifestyle, and I couldn't agree more. And I think what members should have comfort in is the fact that the CLP government stands on 3 very clear pillars and commitments it took to the election and that it has made to Territorians. 1 is reducing crime, 1 is rebuilding the economy, which this one deals with, and the 3rd is restoring our beautiful, cherished lifestyle. The lifestyle I talked about just then that I had the privilege of growing up in, that we want for future generations. So these matters are front of mind for us in everything we do, because our entire prism and lens as a government is through those 3 key areas. The member for Daly and the member for Arafura also spoke, again, on one hand saying it will add more red tape, on the other hand saying that there's not enough process involved. I don't know that you can have it both ways, but again, there was a lot of talk about this all-powerful unelected official, which the irony is that Labor had 3 commissioners of whatever they used to do. I mean, it's just nonsense that we're hearing from the other side, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank my team who spoke, the Deputy Chief Minister, Member for Casuarina, Member for Fong Lim, the Treasurer, Member for Karama, Member for Drysdale, Member for Blaine, Attorney General, Member for Sanderson, and I can't even read my own writing. Anyway, thank you everyone who spoke. Minister for Lands Planning, everyone else who I genuinely don't know what that says. Anyway, it's getting late. So, Madam Speaker, there's much work ahead of us, and so I just want to thank everyone, especially the hardworking public servants. Now, I've been told by those same hardworking public servants I'm absolutely not meant to name any of them, so I will try and adhere to that code, but I know there's a ton of you sitting in the back room and you're watching me speak right now, so thank you. I know it's been a big piece of work, long hours, a lot of travel, but it's been so engaging and inspiring working with you, nutting out the issues, making sure this is best practice, fit for purpose, cutting edge. We wanted it to be the most competitive. We went around the country and looked at how is everyone else doing this? How can ours be better? What's the edge for the territory? Where do we get to say that we have the best regulatory environment, and how do we really position the territory moving forward to take advantage of the opportunities we have? Because I know we all believe in the future of the territory, and we just want it to stop being talked about as some sort of opportunity, like this concept that's never ever going to transpire into reality. And so again, this huge piece of work that we commenced literally within a couple of days of forming government has now come to this point. And so I want to thank the team, behind the Territory Coordinator, everyone who's had a role to play in this. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful, and I appreciate it all very much, as does the entire team. And thank you to my team as well for your unwavering belief in the fact that we have to do things differently if we're going to get a different outcome. And I know many of my team spoke about their own experiences in project work. Member for Karama spoke about his time in supporting the delivery of projects for the territory, and how this type of regulatory environment could have really helped move things along. And for some, it'll be the difference between a project going ahead or not. And so, Madam Speaker, I will leave my remarks there. I thank everyone again. I certainly look forward to the consideration in detail stage, which, given the number of amendments, is likely, I think we just all need to patiently work through each and every clause. Thank you, Madam Speaker.